it's not the same when it comes to that. If you want entertainment after you leave the track, you should drive to San Diego. Like I said, it's 25 miles south on the 5 freeway. You get to San Diego, and now you are in a Saratoga type atmosphere, especially if you go to the Gaslamp District or to the blocks and blocks of eateries right outside of Petco Park where the San Diego Padres play. That is a festive area, and you will have fun, and you will get everything that you bargained for. And speaking of the San Diego Padres, I do not like them. I am a San Francisco Giants fan, being from the Bay Area, but they do have Fernando Tatis and Manny Machado and Yu Darvish, and they are having a great season. So if you can parlay a San Diego Padres game on the end of a Del Mar race day, you will be doing yourself some good, because actually, as the game or the Padre game is ending somewhere around 9:30, 10 o'clock, you can just step right outside Petco Park and into that festive San Diego nightlife, which is some of the best nightlife in the United States of America. And I might add, that San Diego is the finest city in the United States. I am here to tell you that. All around it is. The weather, the crime, the less crime that they have, the things to do, the scenery, it's only 10 miles, literally less than 10 miles from the Mexican border where you enter into Tijuana. So if you do go to Del Mar, bring your passport and make sure that you just are able to experience all what San Diego has to offer after you leave Del Mar. So Trevor Denman, known as one of the, if not the best race callers. He used to call himself a race commentator, but he is actually known as, probably the best race caller of all time, along with Tom Durkin and whatnot. And Trevor used to call all three tracks on the Southern California circuit when Hollywood Park closed down some years ago. He was still doing Santa Anita and Del Mar. He decided that he was going to drop Santa Anita and just stick with Del Mar. Trevor lives in the state of Minnesota. He lives up there, goes up there during the summertime, and, he'll come down to Del Mar and call the races, pretty much on a regular basis. Now, I do know last year in 2020, Larry Comas filled in for Trevor, I think, in the summer meet for half the season or something like that. And then Trevor came in and took over. But like I say, Trevor is the main announcer at Del Mar. He's always been for years and years and years. And I think, like I said, you get a good atmosphere when you hear Trevor call the very first race at Del Mar, and his intro or his opening act at the Seaside Circuit goes something like this. There's the roar from the crowd. The 2021 Del Mar meet is underway. I guess that's my best, imitation of Trevor. I can't get him real good. But anyway, at Del Mar, the starting gate for the very first race is always on the main track, right in front of the crowd. So Trevor can do his staple opening call, and you can hear the crowd and the roar. And like I said, and it's your turn to be said, welcome to Del Mar. As far as the racing goes, ladies and gentlemen, you have a myriad of stakes, of course. Del Mar is known as a turf meeting, and their signature race, however, is the Pacific Classic, which will be run on Saturday, August 21st. And you also have the Hopeful for 2-year-olds, which will be run on closing day, which is Labor Day, on Monday, September 6th. Now, like I said, Del Mar for years and years has always been a turf meet. But the Del Mar Thoroughbred Club had to sit down in the late 80s and try to say, look, we have the Eddie Reed, we have the Chula Vista, we have the Ramona. Those are our signature races, and they're all on grass. We do not have a signature dirt race. We don't have the Hollywood Gold Cup like Hollywood Park has, or the Santa Anita Handicap like the Great Race Place has. So let's come up with something to rival that. And they came up with the Pacific Classic, which was first run in 1991. And just like the Hollywood Gold Cup and the Santa Anita Big Cap, the Pacific Classic is tested at the classic distance of 1.25 miles. So like I say, they got on board with that, and it's still not, it still never gained the folklore, or never gained the prestige of the Santa Anita Handicap, although the Big Cap has digressed and Hollywood Park is no more, but Santa Anita did take over the Hollywood Gold Cup, but it's just not the same. The Hollywood Gold Cup should be run at Hollywood Park, and that's the way it should be, but things have changed, and now I would say the Pacific Classic has now jump over the Santa Anita Handicap. So, here we are at Del Mar. Like I said, I think there's two signature races, are the Pacific Classic and the Hopeful. I'm going to go over a couple of stake races that they have, maybe some history, and just kind of lock you in on what is going on the stake schedule at Del Mar. Until a few years ago, opening day, the traditional opening day stakes was the Oceanside, and still is. However, it was run in two divisions. It was split. Now it's just one rendition of it. It's at a flat mile on the turf for 3-year-olds. And like I said, it always was the race that kicked off the stake schedule at Del Mar. It's non-graded. I think that at one time it may have been a grade 3, but like I said, now it is non-graded. The first dirt stakes of the meet, which will be held on Saturday, July 17th. The next day is the San Diego Handicap. It's for 3-year-olds and up. And of course, being on the main track, run early in the meet, it is a prep for the Pacific Classic. And like I say, it is run at 1.16 miles on the main track. And continuing on the history and the notions, how times have changed, the Eddie Reed, which will be run on Saturday, July 24th, used to be, in my opinion, Del Mar's signature race. It was a grade 1. It is now a grade 2. Back in the day when Shoemaker rode, and Eddie De La Houssaye and Chris McCarron and Lafitte Pinkai and Chuck Baltazar and Frank Olivares, and when the riding was good, Sandy Harley, I can go on and on and on. It's making me sick to know that what has happened to the Southern California Jockey Colony, all those Hall of Fame riders. But the Eddie Reed, like I said, is still a Del Mar fixture. It is run at 1.125 miles on turf. And like I said, it used to be a grade 1. Now it is a grade 2. So it has slipped. Maybe that calls for the turf racing in Southern California is slipping. But nevertheless, the Eddie Reed is still a fixture at Del Mar. The Bing Crosby will be run. Also, it is actually the first grade 1. It should be run actually during the Bing Crosby meet. As you know, Del Mar a few years ago took over the Hollywood Park winter days and started running toward the end in November, toward the end of the year for a few weeks. And that is called the Bing Crosby meet. So I'm kind of wondering why the Bing Crosby is not run during that time. So obviously, too, these races that Del Mar have are very significant every year, but this year in particular because of the Breeders' Cup, which will be held at Del Mar on November 5th and 6th. And, you're getting races on the track, which is also important. And like I said, you want the Bing Crosby, this meet, maybe it may be moved to the Bing Crosby meet in November after this Breeders' Cup year is over. But anyway, it's 6 furlongs on the main track for 3-year-olds and up. And like I say, it should be a major, major prep for the Breeders' Cup Sprint. You're getting a race on the track, and even if you don't win the Bing Crosby, you're still getting the feel of the track, and that is going to weigh mightily for going against East Coast horses and horses coming from overseas in November. On July 31st, which is also a Saturday, you're going to have the Clement Hirsch Stakes, which used to be the Chula Vista. It is a grade 1 for fillies and mares, 3-year-olds and up, and it will be held at a mile and a 16th. The Yellow Ribbon on Saturday, August 27th, is a former Santa Anita grade 1 race, which was run during the Oak Tree meet back in the day. It has now been moved to Del Mar. That still seems funny to me. I think the Yellow Ribbon was the signature turf race at the Oak Tree Santa Anita meet back in the day. But like I say, now it's at Del Mar. It just enhances Del Mar's reputation as a grass or a turf meet. And like I say, this will be run on Saturday, August 7th at a mile and a 16th on the turf. The Best Pal Stakes, I want to mention that because Best Pal himself, as a 3-year-old, won the inaugural running of the Pacific Classic. And, I think it was just fitting that they gave Best Pal a race in his name. Best Pal was an outstanding 2-year-old. And I do think that, some kind of way, it just kind of fitting to that, this race would be graded, maybe not as grade 1 or something like that, but at least a grade 2, for, this outstanding runner who won the inaugural running of the Pacific Classic back in 1991. And, this race is 7 furlongs, but like I said, this is going to be somewhat of a prep. There's going to have some Breeders' Cup races. If it's not a Breeders' Cup race, it's going to have some other stake races that is going to happen on that weekend. And this can be a prep for both. And on Saturday, August 21st, you have the TVG Pacific Classic, which is for 3-year-olds and up at the classic distance of 1.25 miles on the main track. Also that day, you're going to have the Del Mar Oaks, which is a grade 1 for fillies, 3-year-old fillies at 1.8 miles on the turf. The grade 2 Del Mar Mile on turf, which is for 3-year-olds and up. You're also going to have the grade 2 Del Mar Handicap, which is for 3-year-olds and up, and that will be held at the marathon distance of 1 3/8 miles on grass. And then closing out the stake action for Pacific Classic Day will be the grade 3 Torrey Pines for sophomore fillies at a flat mile on the main track. So yeah, there you have it, Pacific Classic Day, obviously the biggest day of the meet. Post time that day will probably be 12 p.m. And like I say, Del Mar is a quaint place. It's not very big. So when you get a lot of people in there, it can be a little uncomfortable. They have expanded a little bit. I think they did that for the Breeders' Cup that was held there a few years ago. So, but I'm saying, it's like I say, it's a Pacific Classic Day. It's going to be very, very compact, very, very crowded. If you like crowds, you like the festive horse racing atmosphere, then that will be the place for you on Saturday, August the 24th. On Saturday, August 28th, the grade 2, now grade 2, used to be grade 1 Pat O'Brien for 3-year-olds and up at 7 panels. And on Saturday, September 4th, it's the Del Mar Derby for 3-year-olds at 1.8 miles on turf. Saturday, September 4th, the John C. Mabie, which was the Ramona handicap up till in 1991. And now, like I say, it's a grade 2 1.8 miles on turf. The Ramona handicap, let me just say this for it used to be, it was a great, great race. And like I said, I'm glad they kept it at Del Mar. They changed the name for the great breeder, John C. Mabie of Golden Eagle Farm and whatnot. But yeah, he deserves a race. I just kind of like, I'm such a traditionalist. I like to see races keep their name, and just if you need to honor someone like John Mabie or Charlie Whittingham, just make up a race for them. Don't take away the names of the traditional races. It just takes away from everything to me. But anyway, nevertheless, in my mind, when I hear the John C. Maybe Stakes, I think of the Ramona. That's just me. The next day, which is Sunday, September 5th, you have the Del Mar Debutante, which is for 2-year-old fillies